So welcome and good evening. I'm Lisa Bishop, the District Governor of 7090, and I'm very pleased and honored for us to be having our virtual evening together. It is part of our 2022-23 District 7090 Imagine Your Life in Rotary District Conference. And it's a week-long celebration. We're just getting started, folks. I'm a little tired from the weekend, but we still have more to come. We had Saturday, April 15th at Niagara County Community College in Sanborn. Well over 130 people came together. It just filled my heart with joy to see so many seeing each other after a long time of 3 years of not having in-person meetings. We had a lovely showcase of all of the great works. I think we had about 15 tables showcasing what clubs are doing. We had sessions, we had networking, we had fun, and we celebrated many things. And there was some awards and memorials as well. On Sunday, we had our Rotary Family Fun Day at Riverworks in Buffalo, where we hosted over 250 people from Harrison Playmakers, who are people living with disabilities, different abilities. Many people have Down syndrome or physical disabilities like cerebral palsy. And we had fun. We had lots of games that we played and made no-sew blankets. Oh, yes, on Saturday, we had 3 service projects going on, and we made 45 lasagnas, as well as 30 no-sew blankets. So yesterday was a fun-filled time, helping and being together with others. So this week, Monday through Thursday, we have virtual presentations. This evening, I'm very thankful to have Maureen, and we'll speak a little bit more about her. Oh, there's Scott joining. Maureen with us this evening. Tomorrow evening, Trustee Dean Roars is speaking virtually as well on the impact of the Rotary Foundation. And my home club, Norfolk Sunrise, we're having a watch party where I think a couple of dozen of us are going to be watching from one location and talking about our impact with the Rotary Foundation. Wednesday is reimagining volunteerism or yoga. There's 2 choices. You can sign up for one or the other. I don't think you can do them both, but we'll see. We have 2 offerings. And on Thursday is membership, and it's to 2,000 members and beyond. A wonderful presentation put together by Michelle. And on Saturday is Great Lakes Watershed Cleanup, where most of our clubs will be participating in some way in an Earth Day project of cleaning up either on that day. Some are doing it the day ahead, some are doing it the next week, some are doing it in May. But we have lots of clubs that are on board cleaning the environment and cleaning our waterways and working with community partners to do that. And our champion for that is David Alexander, District Governor nominee, and he may have a word or two about that at the close. So this is part of the shopping channel here. We still have our conference shirts for sale if anyone would like to order one, the Imagine Rotary, or we have our district shopping cooler bags here. You can see it's an insulated cooler bag. So the cooler bags are still available. You can go online. I'll be selling them tomorrow. They'll be at many events to come. Just want you to know that. Lots of swag for us to have. And with all the proceeds going to our new district endowment that we just certified last October. I'd like to right now also thank our conference chair, past District Governor Melissa Schrock, and the hardworking, committed conference committee that have helped put together this entire week of celebration. They are truly our Imagineers to imagine our future in Rotary. So next, I would like to introduce District Governor-elect Scott Marson, who will have a few words. He'll make an announcement and also an introduction about our feature speaker. And as I said, I could not be more thrilled that we have Maureen Fritz-Roberts, she goes by Mo, joining us. She's such a progressive, innovative leader who has fun and is passionate about all things Rotary. So over to you, District Governor-elect Scott Marson.
Hey, thank you very much, Lisa. I really do want to first, before I go forward, extend a great thanks to District Governor Lisa Bishop and the whole district conference team headed by Melissa Schrock. They put together a fabulous event at Niagara County Community College on Saturday. And you know what it made me think? We imagined that we could get back together as Rotarians after a couple of years off of the pandemic, and it turned out fabulous. The smiles on people's faces, the conversations, it was just wonderful. And you know, you failed to mention this, Lisa, but I thought it was something that just really warmed my heart, was to see the parade of flags of the youth exchange students come into that hall and get together. That was great. We hadn't seen that in quite a few years, and that was beautiful to see. So that was really a great event, and we're continuing here. A little plug before I go off, because then I won't be able to speak, because Mo said she needs 2.5 hours, I think she said, or something like that. I don't know what it was, but get comfy, everybody. Get comfy. But I do want to remind people that in not too many weeks, actually May 4th and May 6th, we will be having the district training assembly. It'll all be online, so no one will have to travel or anything like that. So the May 4th sessions, remind your clubs that is club role training. So not only will the new president-elects be voting on the budget and learning about our manual of policies, there'll be assistant governor training, club secretary training, there'll be membership chair training, public image, which is a big one that Dave Schultz will be running, and foundation chair training. Saturday session, which is all in the morning, we'll have a little bit of fellowship before we get going at 8:30, and then we will have a presenter who will talk all about DEI. What is it, why it's important, and how your club can embrace it. So we have a great session. It'll be a general session. And after that, you'll have one of 6 different sessions to break out to. The 7th session is strictly for Rotary actors, so we can't really join that one. But we can wish we were that young again. But we're going to have, a send-off for Kevin Crosby before he heads off to South Carolina. He'll be giving us a presentation on vibrant meetings. And, heading into next year, we're going to have a little focus on this. We're going to have a mental health panel. Talking about mental health and being aware of that and creating a sense of belonging in your club. Aaron Carlson will lead a panel discussion. We have some experts joining us that day. That'll be a nice breakout session. Dave Barry, who is an expert on this, is going to be talking about cluster grants. If you are a small club and don't know how to get involved in an international project, Dave Barry has a way to show you how to do it. And he's done cluster grants up with Niagara on the Lake and Niagara Falls Rotary. He's going to show us how to do it. Lisa Bishop, she said she's going to join me, and she's going to host a panel discussion on creating good service projects for your club. Whether you're a big club or a small club, how do I get a good, successful service project going, and how do I get it to completion? Michelle Starwell Woods, she's focused on this a little bit, but she's going to come back again. She's going to talk about membership, because we think that membership is every Rotarian's responsibility, not just the president or the membership chair, but it's everybody's. And she's going to tell you how you can get involved in membership and bringing those into your club. Dave Alexander, I tabbed him for this, but he told me he's going to do it. He's going to do a fundraising A to Z for us, and he's going to tell us how to get a successful fundraiser going for your club. Whether you're a little one or a big one, whether you have small expectations or big expectations, Dave's going to help you put it in place. And again, finally, we're going to have, our Rotary Actors Roundtable and let them talk about all the good things that they've done this year, how they can collaborate, how they can get themselves going together and expand what they are doing. So remember, District Training Assembly, I think you're going to get some emails from not only myself, but also Dave Schultz and his crew are going to be doing some advertising and publicity for it. So get your clubs going on it. Thank you. All right, without further ado, I'm going to bring back my good old friend, Mo Fritz-Roberts. We got to know each other a little bit down in Orlando at the International Assembly, and I always tell people it's one of the greatest experiences you can have as a Rotarian is going to the International Assembly. So I was so pleased that I could bring back a lot of good stories. So Maureen Mo Fritz-Roberts has been a Rotarian at heart since 1985, when she discovered this gutsy organization vowed to eradicate polio. She actually became a member in 2002. Mo was her club's president in 2009 and 2010, but prior to that was District 5020 membership chair from 2005 to 2009. And in 2009, she was responsible for bringing club planning through the visioning program to District 5020. In 2019 and 2020, she was one of RI President Mark Maloney's Aloha Governors. She currently serves as the director of the Rotary Foundation Canada and NATS chair for Zones 26-27. Mo works as a general manager and human resources officer with her husband Dale in their business. And prior to this venture, they owned a general insurance agency with 5 locations and 45 employees. Mo and Dale have been married for over 40 years, so it seems they seem to understand the concept of being partners. Although Mo likes to find time to draw and walk her dog Molly You still got Molly there, Bo? I'll introduce you to Manny in a few minutes here. Her true passion is Rotary. It allows her to give back to her community and to the world. And she has participated in 3 national immunization trips to Ethiopia and initiated the creation of a microcredit bank. She must love Rotary, as she will be her club's president one more time in 23-24. Way to go, Mo. Like those repeat presidents. You can still go to Petso, just remember that. Home for Dale and Mo is the beautiful Comox Valley in Vancouver Island, where their 2 children, Chris and Tasha, and 5 grandchildren, Jaden, Amelia, Grace, Grady, and Evelyn, also reside. Good for you. Mo is incredibly honored to join District 7090 tonight as President Jennifer Jones, representative to our conference. So without further ado, I'll give Mo the floor. Thanks for joining us, Mo.
Thanks for that introduction, Scott. Thank you so much. I'm just so thrilled to be here because when you have a celebration like this going on, it's great to come in and join in and find out what you do, because I like to steal ideas, and I've heard some great things here, and your lineup for training makes me really want to come and take some classes. It's membership is the thing that I think really matters. And that's why talking about what you can do as a member of Rotary really matters to me. So I want to really thank Lisa again for inviting me to come and talk about this particular subject tonight. And so I have a goal. It's actually threefold. One, that possibly will introduce a range of Rotary International programs that are all open to you that you may not have heard about before, or heard about but didn't really know what they were. And I'd like to discuss programs and opportunities that are closer to your club that you might not have investigated. And then I'd like to talk about the biggie, which is ways to take that information that you've gained tonight and share it with your clubs. Because there's no point in you being an expert. It's much better if you're the storyteller that shares the word with everybody else in the world. So imagine what we can do together when we share ideas. That really is what we're talking about, sharing your ideas. I'll provide some topical information, but it's your input that will take our discussion to the next level. So I really appreciate it if you'd be interactive. If you're not interactive, we should be out of here in about 15 minutes. I think that's probably fair. But Rotary really is full of the unexpected, which is why I've always viewed the television show that same way. The Big Bang Theory. I don't know, are any of you familiar with that show? It was pretty popular on television, but you knew every time a topic came up on the Big Bang Theory, there'd be a twist to our traditional way of looking at it, and they'd make us laugh. And then there was Sheldon and Amy, who routinely did an episode on fun with flags. And I thought, wow, that's just like Rotary. We have 167 flags with all the countries that we represent. So I just want us to think a little bit like all of the characters on the Big Bang Theory. Let's look at Rotary. Let's look at the twists and turns and the unexpected, and think about the things that you've heard about, and maybe we can explore ways for you to be part of it. So, like Amy and Sheldon offering their fun for flags, I hope that when we're finished tonight that you'll take one of these ideas back to your club. And I think we'll discuss that a little bit more as we go along. But I'd like you to start formulating ideas as you hear them. If you've got a piece of paper, or you've got a laptop in front of you, or you've got your phone, and put it into notes, because you're more likely to share it. I can tell you that Lisa probably walked around with a phone full of notes the whole time she's been governor, because everybody says, oh, you're not going to have to say anything when you come to this. And sure enough, they say, oh, the district governor would like to make a couple of words, say a couple of words now. And she'd have to madly pull out her phone, I'm sure, and see what was there. And so I think if you have these notes on your phone or on your laptop or written down somewhere, you're more likely to remember them and to share them. And we really need to spread the word. And I kind of think Rotary is a giant social club, and it's full of countless opportunities. So I'm going to ask a question. And if you can use, everybody know where their virtual hand is? Because it's just, if you're not using your, if you're got your screen turned off. If you can go down into participants or reactions or something, somewhere in there's a virtual hand. So if you can bring that up, if I ask a question, that would be great. Otherwise, you can wave it in front of me. But is there anyone here on the meeting tonight who is a member of an action group? An action group. Oh, Dave, you are. Okay, that's great. Margaret, are you too, or are you just giving a thumbs up to Dave? I don't know. Well, we're gonna. Can you unmute, Dave, and tell us how, what one you joined and how you joined?
Sure. Well, I'm a member of the Rotary Action Group, the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, and so I joined that group in 2016, 17, somewhere around there. And this was before environment was made one of the 7 areas of focus. So and I've done quite a bit of environmental work, work on climate change and environmental strategy, etc. And the group appealed to me because I think that sustainability is an idea that Rotary can really put its arms around and help. And so I'm really glad that there's been some progress over the last handful of years. There have been several focus conferences on environment, and it was good. And I think it was good that the this new area of focus has come to light, because many districts have started up environmental committees and being able to shape a lot of the community projects, which many Rotary groups have already been doing. It just allowed people to hang out and share information globally, which I thought was really wonderful.
Can I ask you a question? Did you help with this big cleanup that your district's doing?
I'm helping support it. Our district governor a couple of years ago conceived of the idea, shared it with his peers, and so a number of districts started to do it. And so we were also working on a healthy communities pilot project, and so that kind of fits right into working on healthy communities. So there's a natural fit there. And so yeah, I'm helping organize it and develop the resource page and help motivate clubs and do what I can. So I've also been reaching out to other districts in the Great Lakes who have not been active, under the Great Lakes Watershed Cleanup banner. And so I've been trying to reach out to my peers in those districts to help them, encourage them to get on board. So I'm hoping that by the time I'm DG, it's going to be just a full-blown kind of activity across the Great Lakes. So it's a long-term project.
No, that's wonderful. I will tell you that in our district, and I've noticed it in other districts, that there have been e-clubs starting that are with a focus. And one of the focuses seems to be the environment. Yeah. And it seems like they're drawing a younger membership. So I don't know if that's one of, we're always talking about a younger membership. I don't care what age people are. I just like them to join Rotary. But when they talk about that younger membership, it seems like the environment attracts them. Margaret, you had your thumbs up. Were you just proud of Dave, or have you joined an action group too?
Yeah, hi Mo. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. I'm a member of the Literacy Action Group, and which is part of what I see as my portfolio with District 7090. And I have to mention that Elaine from St. Catharines Lakeshore, their club actually won a Literacy Action Group award about 4 years ago for their project. And that really inspired me to think, oh well, the action group has recognized a club in District 7090, and that makes me very happy. So I should pay attention. I have to say that I'm very impressed with the current leadership for the action group and the newsletters that come regularly. And I encourage everybody to sign up for the Literacy Action Group.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because what I heard here tonight is that you have people that are reaching outside of the club to find out what else is out there. And, you know, action groups are just like Rotary clubs. They're autonomous, and they're usually started by somebody with an interest. It can be a professional in that field, or it can just be somebody that's got a desire to see something happen in that area, and you can create one of these action groups. I just wanted to share what Rotary International says about action groups. Let's see if I can be okay. All right. Now, you're going to have to tell me if you can see my screen or not. Okay,
Not yet. I did make you oh, good. It's come up now.
Is it coming
Very
now?
good.
Can
It
you
is
see
now.
it?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you. Very
that's
good.
a good sign. Okay. Well, let's see if we can get it to work. I was so proud of myself for putting this video up, but it seems like maybe it doesn't want to play for me. So let's just see if we can get yes.
Rotary action groups are a great resource because they have the expertise in their various subject matters to support clubs and districts with project implementation and execution.
Across the world, there's so many different action groups. There's one for environmental sustainability. We've got disaster response. We have water and sanitation.
If somebody wants to know how to build a toilet, drill a borehole, implement rainwater harvesting, for example, action group have the expertise to enable the club to achieve its humanitarian goals.
They are not just Rotarians or Rotaractors. It could be, partners. It could be alumni.
A Rotarian doesn't have to be an expert because they're all at hand.
And when a club wants help, we'll link them with sources of funding, usually another club, but also to private donors and other foundations.
When you've got this group that has members from around the world in one particular focus, you can have an impact that is huge.
So I thought they would probably do a better job of that than I would. So I thought we'll let them explain it. Hey, Scott, did you recognize anybody in that video?
I did see someone who I recognized, so
Yeah.
that was nice to see. But I love actually these action groups are kind of exciting to me. Actually, it might be the next generation of Rotary and how we do things. So.
Well, I think when I watched that video for the first time, I thought there were 3 steps that they covered. They talked about finding one, they talked about joining one, and they talked about starting one. And, finding one, that's probably a bit of, a short search on Mr. Google can help you for that. But when I looked at it, and especially that message about having all of these experts, if your club is going to do a global grant and you're running into a little bit of an issue, what better than to go to that action group for support? I think it's one of the reasons, and I'm sure Dean Rores is going to talk about this tomorrow, that we've got this cadre of individuals out there who are so talented that can help us do things right, that our global grant program should be increasing in its sustainability goals just simply because we have experts that we can call on. I'll use my club as an example. We are looking at a project in the Honduras. We have been working in the same area for 10 years now. And we started out doing water, and now they want us to go into maternal health. And we're all going, we don't know anything about maternal health and how to deal with it there. And so they want this project that's $75,000. And we're in Canada. So that $75,000 is like 150 for us. But you get the idea. We've got that exchange issue. And so we're talking about, we should be going to one of these action groups and asking for help. And we talked earlier about, Dave, your action group was in the environment. And Margaret, yours was in education and literacy. And so these action groups are all over. It's, I just, each one of the areas of focus that we have has action groups underneath it. And you just have to go onto my Rotary, but for example, promoting peace, which is the first of our 7 areas of focus. It's domestic violence prevention. There's one for peace. There's one for refugees. There's one for slavery prevention. Under fighting disease, there's addiction prevention, Alzheimer's, dementia, blindness prevention, blood donation, diabetes, family health and AIDS, health education and wellness, hearing, hepatitis eradication, malaria, mental health, multiple sclerosis, polio survivors. You go into clean water, and it's providing clean water and sanitation, and it's menstrual health and hygiene, as well as water, sanitation, and hygiene, saving mothers and children, clubfoot, reproductive, maternal, and child health, and that's the one we're going to with my club, supporting education, basic education and literacy, growing economics, community economic development, and disaster assistance, protecting the environment. There's one on endangered species. They've got a great video, and then one on environmental sustainability. And the last one doesn't fall into just one category. It's food plant solution, and it's an action group that does obviously more than one area of focus. It's the environment and it's health. So I think that when there's 27 of them out there, and I bet there isn't somebody doing a global grant that doesn't have it fall into one of those areas. And we always have to fall into an area of focus with a global grant anyway, but it's not only that, but just interest. So finding them is easy. Joining them is even easier, as both Dave and Margaret can probably tell you. But if there is a Rotary project that you would like to participate in, or if there's an area of the world that you would like to travel to, what a cool idea to go there and work with an action group because they can send you to something that's happening, or they can give you a link to somebody who's going somewhere, and your part of your vacation can end up being something that you do that changes the world. I can attest to that because Dale and I went to South Africa. We were doing the Rotary thing where we started out in Ethiopia immunizing children. Then we got over to South Africa, and we stopped, we were going on a safari, but there was a little school there that a Rotary Club of 3 members was helping, keep alive. So we stopped in to visit the school, and sure enough, there was so much to be done. We took down doors and refinished them and put them back up. We painted classrooms. So we spent 2 solid days working on this school, and there was a little clinic next door to it. I guess it was a hospital, a very small hospital by our standards. And one of the Rotarians with us was a doctor from the United States, and he said he was just floored when he was in the hospital, because he said, you'd see these old pictures in textbooks when he was taking his training about the kind of equipment that people had to deal with, and he thought it was so outdated. And he said, I took my training in the 70s. He said the stuff they had in there and they were operating with was still what they had. So he got us all working on another project. So we left South Africa with a whole gamut of challenges and grants that we were going to work on, simply because our vacation turned into something where we helped others. And the other cool thing you can do is you can start an action group. It is really easy to do. In fact, Rotary has a manual to help you start one. And you may look at it and say, well, why would I need to start one when there's so many already? But you never know what will come up that is unexpected. And I mean, that happened to my husband and I, again, when we were doing the trip to Ethiopia. Because on one of those trips, we went to see a water project that a club in the United States had finished. It was $1 million water project. It was massive. And it took this whole area of 6 villages and provided clean water for them. And all of a sudden, all of these women didn't have to haul water all day long. And they wanted to do something where they could make a difference and make their families more financially stable. So what the So what we did is we said, well, what about a microcredit project? If we had the ability to get funds and you could start up a small business, and they were excited, they were a little leery, but they thought that that would give them an opportunity. So what we did is we got back to Canada and said, okay, how can we raise this money? We had spoken to a bank that would help us get going in Ethiopia, but we needed $90,000 US to open the branch. And so I just went to town. I sold every week at Rotary Club. I sold at least 2 bottles of wine out of our wine cellar. I pretty much stripped it bare by the time we were done. We held a $100 a plate dinner in our backyard. And the gentleman that came and cooked the Ethiopian course, because we did Ethiopian dinner, was Time Warner's Health Hero of the Year, but he was also from Ethiopia. So he came and was our chef. And so in the end, we raised about $45,000. And I mean, we worked hard at it. But I knew I needed another 45. So I phoned a man that I had met on that trip to Ethiopia. And I said, he was also from the United States. And I said, Kim, can you help me? I'm trying to raise another $45,000. And I think when I talk to you, you sound like you're a great fundraiser. Can you give me some ideas? And he said, let me think on that and I'll get back to you. Christmas Eve, 4 weeks later, he calls me and says, Mo, I got that other 45,000 you need. I tapped 3 of my friends. So you never know who you're going to meet when you travel on a Rotary trip. I thought he owned a tire store, because that's what he said. He used to sell tires. I didn't know he owned a Fortune 500 tire store that he sold and was now just going around doing things for Rotary. So that is one of the joys of the people that you meet on when you're traveling on these kinds of trips with Rotary, or the action groups that you join are with other people who think just like you, and there's no mention of where they are on the social ladder or hierarchy that we sometimes stops us from communicating with people. So I just want you to know that when I found out that there were people like out there that would do that, Rotary at the time would not do a global grant for microcredit. I mean, they do now. But when we had the opportunity to start one in 2007, I was a founding member because it seemed important to me to do it. And so I'm thinking, if I can do it, I'm not an accountant, I'm a human resources person, but all it takes is somebody interested and with a desire, and things happen. So I'm so thrilled that there are people here that have done something with action groups. And I think that if you share that knowledge that there is a couple of people in your district that you know of that have joined an action group, get the message out there. It will help your foundation considerably if they feel comfortable talking to those action groups. And I sit on TRF Canada. I see which global grants get, I'm the final person that signs off on them. And so I know when I see ones going back and forth, that usually it's just because they, something stumped them, like the sustainability or something like that. And that's what those action groups can save you on. And you'll meet new people. I'm sure Dave and Margaret have both met great new people. So it's worth it. But one of the really fun ones that is also out there for you to look at, and there's 27 action groups, but there are over 100 Rotary fellowships. I mean, if you can name it, Rotary does it. I said we were a social group. So if you knit, if you fly a plane, if you ride a bike, if you like to eat, there is a fellowship out there to join. And just like the action groups, you're more than capable and able to start one if you think something's missing. Our district just started a gourmet one because they really felt we needed to have that. And there are, I'm sure, and Lisa, do you belong to the Flying Fellowship? Anybody else belong to a fellowship in the room?
I also belong to the Beer Fellowship.
How about wine?
Do you belong to the Wine Fellowship, Margaret? Yeah, so do I. So Margaret and I have the only Rotary pin that you can't get through the airport wearing because it's a corkscrew. Sets off the detector.
Last year when I was in Houston, I joined Brew.
Oh, you did, so you're part of the Brute Fellowship too.
Brew
Good.
Fellowship, we had a lovely St. Patrick's Day event with members joining in from around the world, all at the same time. It was,
Yes.
yeah.
That's a really good one because it's tough for Lisa to get a whole bunch of people in a cockpit with having their phones on and do a Zoom meeting, but you can sure do it with the Brew Fellowship.
It was fun.
Well, I think that I may have a bit of a problem because I belong to 3 fellowships. I belong to the Wine Fellowship, the Brew Fellowship, and the Whiskey Fellowship. It's possible I may need help from one of those action groups to intervene, but in reality, what's great about the fellowships are the people that you meet around the world. Whether you do it virtually, like Dan just said, you could go online and have St. Patty's party, or if you go on trips or holidays, they actually organize things where they get together, and especially if you go to events like the International Convention. There's always something there. And when you walk into the International Convention, the House of Friendship is hundreds of booths, and just about every fellowship is represented at those booths. And so it's a really excellent way to get to know other people that have the same interests as you do. So if you were to look in the chat right now, if you just open it, you'll see that there is a little flyer in there on fellowships. And that was, I pulled that off Rotary's website today, and I just thought I'd share it with you. If you're at all interested in the fellowships, it's just fun. I mean, I can tell you that at the Whiskey Fellowship, my club does a fundraiser every year. We do a whiskey fest, and Dave, you're gonna love this. It's the easiest fundraiser ever because all the tickets are sold online. We sell out in 3 days because anybody that's a whiskey aficionado doesn't want to miss out. We have all these great companies that come in and pour, but when we needed something else to do that was kind of fun, we got a hold of the Whiskey Fellowship, and they came up with ideas, they came up with information. So you can use those fellowships to help you in different situations. I saw a note. Did it not go into chat? Did I do a lousy job of putting it in there?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
I'm not sure if those who join later,
Maybe that's the problem.
those of us that were on when you posted it, perhaps. I'm not sure if we were
that could be that.
I don't know if there's a technical thing.
Isn't that funny? Because I thought that if you at the end of a meeting, if you have something in chat, you can look at it at any time, right? That you can save it, or if you make the wrong note in there, everybody can read it. But I'll try it again here. Did it show up this time? Take a look.
It's again, yes?
You got it now? Okay, excellent.
We got it.
It must have been the early posting.
So can anybody think of a way that you could take this idea back to your club to get them talking about fellowships? Or do you think it would have, that your clubs would have an interest in learning about fellowships? Or do they know you belong to one? Dan, have you told anybody?
Yeah, there's myself and Jonas from my club joined in Houston last year, but I invited everybody in the club to show up. And so we ended up, I think, with 6 of us here. So they know about brew because Jonas and I were proudly wearing our brew buttons, and I have my brew coolie cup with a special 4-way test for us brew members, and we all had to go on screen and show the Guinness we were drinking or whatever. So yeah, they're aware of brew and the fun that's available there.
That's great. Okay, so I think that that's part of it is sharing it and making people a part of it. And let's face it, what do you guys have in your backyard? Wineries. If you were going to have a wine fellowship, what a great opportunity to take people around to start a chapter and get people in your district involved and feel like they were part of it. So I was going to show you a funny little fellowship video, but I think it might be more worthwhile if I put in chat the link as a way of something that you could take back to your clubs that I'm not sure it'll let me. Let's just see. Okay. Yeah, I guess it's a link. It won't let me. It was a Rotary club that I was looking at, and they did this cute little video to show to their club members to get them talking about it. I think they did it just before the Houston convention because it has a whole theme of the astronauts, which was big there. So let me just see if I can bring it up for you. Let's see if I can share it on my screen again. I need a techie. Usually I coerce my husband into helping me with this because he's our guru here at the office. But in reality, it's 4 o'clock here and he's working. So, all right. Well, let's just see if I can make it. No, I can't get this video to start. I had trouble with it earlier, so I thought, well, never know. So,
David has his hand up.
oh, good, David. Hi.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the great techniques to get somebody in or to introduce the topic of fellowships is you find somebody from one of these fellowships to talk about their initiative as a guest speaker to your club. They can zoom in from anywhere on the world now. And we, a couple of years ago, we had somebody from the Beer Fellowship be one of our guest speakers. It was really great. And that it gave us an opportunity to tell us about the laundry list of fellowships that Rotary has.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I printed it off today and I thought I could never put that on a slide. You wouldn't be able to, there'd be such tiny print. But yeah, it's something that is just so automatic because I think that we like to hang out with people that think like us and talk like us. We share a common goal in Rotary. And then you find out you've got other interests and it just adds to the value of getting together. So please, I hope you can share some of that information on fellowships. And I wish I could share this video with you. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yes, well, there's, we've talked about some that maybe we ourselves relate to, but I know some families, they've joined the cycling or the geocaching, the RV. We have right now Sandy Shard and her husband are off. They're joining the group over in Australia, renting an RV and with the RV Rotarians, and they're touring around. What a great way for fellowship. But there's some for young families. So it is, I agree with you. It's a great way for all of us to have our interests, but also young families that you can have good, wholesome connections with other Rotarians from other clubs, even other districts, whatever, and that you're doing something that may be very economical and family friendly, like the geocaching, the hiking, the cycling. There's many of these that, as I said, the list goes on. It goes on, if you can imagine. There's these even strategic planning fellowship, if you can imagine. I'm sure Anne might like that one, but there's something for everyone there.
Anne, I think I like you already. Is strategic planning makes you happy? This one's great. So that was the little video. And I just thought if I was starting to talk to my club and you played something goofy like that and just get them thinking about it and then dive into the ways that they could become involved. It's just tools to be there for you. So we talked about going out and doing action groups and we talked about doing fellowship, and it seems like it's outside our it's outside our realm, it's outside of our country, it's outside of everywhere, and yet it's right beside us. And that's why sometimes I think when things are right in front of us, we really miss them. We probably trip over them when, and it's an opportunity. And that's, I think, what starts right in our own backyard. And so when I look at District 7090, and I've been looking at your district a lot, I've been on your Facebook page, I've been on your website, I've been looking at your clubs and what you do and the things that are out there in your district. And I love that whole area. I've got friends in Buffalo, and I've got friends in Niagara on the Lake. And so, you know, it's an area that I like to travel to. And so I kind of thought, can somebody tell me what District 7090 has that takes you outside your club? Because there are 68 clubs, I believe. So is anybody, well, we've got three people on here right now. They're going to tell me right off the bat that yes, you can do something at the district level because you got a governor-elect, and a governor nominee. So has anybody else done something at the district level? How about in your area? Do you have assistant governors in your areas?
We have all kind of people who are on this call who have done stuff in the district level, Mo. You got
They're all
trainers
very
and,
shy.
you know, they're all, you know, step up, people. Come on now.
Well, that's good because, you know, sometimes what happens when I go talk to clubs, they have never even gone to the club that's like 5 miles away. And I find that always a little bit surprising. And Lisa, you may have discovered it as district governor. I come from a district with 94 clubs. And so when I was district governor, I worked full time. There was no way I could visit 94 clubs and stay employed. So I asked them to do joint visits. And I got this one area that had 6 clubs to do a joint party. And they threw a dine and dance. And we had it in the high school gymnasium and out in the foyer. They had all these tables set up. Each of the clubs set up a table to show to the district governor. So I could come in and go, wow, look what you guys are doing. And I couldn't get near the tables. I went and was the host at the door to welcome people coming in so I could meet people because I couldn't get to those tables because they were so busy talking to each other, and you do that and we do this, and they now do projects together. And when my husband went this year, because he's district governor right now, we went back to that area and I thought, what's it going to be? And they were so excited. They threw a great big party in a pub because they found out Dale is also part of the Brew Fellowship, and they threw this great big Irish party. And but they said they had no idea that these people this close, within 30 miles, all those clubs, all those 6 clubs are within 30 miles, that there were that many Rotarians in their area. They just had never explored each other. And so that's why I was saying, you know, the wine fellowship is an opportunity in your backyard. And our district is very much like yours. We cross a border. We have to take a ferry to do it. It takes us an 1.5 hour ferry ride because we've got that little chunk of pond between us. But one of the people in our district lives in downtown Victoria, which is a lovely city, a coastal city. It's our capital city of our province. And so what he does is on our private members Facebook page is he'll post, I want to go biking. I'd really like the opportunity my wife and I want to throw our bikes in the back of our truck and we want to come down to Washington State for 2 weeks. And these are the dates. Would somebody switch houses with us? You can have our condo downtown Victoria. And so, and for the people coming from Washington State, there's a ferry they can take where they can leave their vehicle on that side and they'll never need it in downtown Victoria. Everything is within walking distance that you can imagine, or there's good transit, or there's bikes and lots of bike trails. And so he does that on a regular basis. And that's just him kind of creating a friendship exchange. I know your district does a friendship exchange because you have a committee specifically for it. But that's a friendship exchange that you can do just to see another part of your district that you wouldn't normally travel to. So I thought, you know, there's lots of clever ideas out there about how you can do it. The one that really caught my eye though, and somebody's got to tell me they've done this. Did you go out and paddle a dragon boat? Because it's on your website.
I think we did do that, but I have not done it for Rotary, but yeah, I think we have done that.
Yeah, my new home club, Norfolk Sunrise, is hosting a dragon boat. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
The dragon boat, and part of the funds are going to breast cancer, and part of the funds are going to the great work of the Rotary Club of Norfolk Sunrise. So they're going to have some of the breast cancer survivors having their competition because they're great dragon boaters. There's a whole circuit that you can do. And then there's going to be the rest of us that are trying to do that and wearing life jackets, of course. So that is the 24th, 25th of June, Scott.
Well, I am sure all of you are going to want to be out there to see that now, because we have dragon boats where I am too, because obviously I'm on the coast, and it is amazing. And so we did, they allowed us, some of us incapable, no knowledge of the sea, into the boats, and we had such a good time. So I just thought it's another cool way to get people out, just as your efforts are that you're doing with cleaning up your environment. I mean, we do one called Trash Tag, and we all weigh the tonnage that we bring in, and it's a big competition of who's going to have the most tonnage. And I mean, I'm thinking, really, we're fighting over who has the most tonnage? But you just get so excited about doing something that it's more about being out there with other people than it ever is actually the efforts that you're making are improving the environment, but it's the camaraderie. So I'm going to ask you something, since we're at a district conference. What's the best idea you've ever taken away from a district conference?
This is Sheila Hahn from Dunkirk, Fredonia. Hello.
Hi, Sheila.
I was just at our district conference. Was that yesterday? Or the day before?
Saturday, Sheila, Saturday.
Seems unbelievable. Well, I learned so much at one of the little tables where we were discussing different ideas for 15 minutes, and we were talking about starting satellite clubs. And then I got to meet someone who is in the process of, well, one person was in the process and another one is in a satellite club. And so I don't know if I'll be working on implementing that, but it certainly was very interesting.
That's a great thing to come away from a district conference with. I mean, that is a growth pattern for a club that needs a different way to look at it. That's a wonderful thing to walk away from this any district conference with. Anybody else have a gem that they picked up at a district conference somewhere in their Rotary year? Yes, Scott.
Yeah, I was introduced to the shelter box, and that really pulled on my heartstrings. It's amazing what they fit into those tubs and what they can do for only $1,000, including all the shipping and setting up and training. It's amazing.
Yeah, I agree. You know, somebody in my club went to district conference and saw that and convinced them to come and set up in our local mall. And we got tons of donations for shelter box, non-Rotarians donating because they had never seen anything like it. So I have to agree with you. That's another great thing to have come out of a district conference. Any other gems?
When I was at a conference, I think it was in Ellicottville, and they kind of partnered us up for a Trivial Pursuit contest, and we were partnered with another couple, and they were from one of the Buffalo clubs. But it was an interesting club, and it just shows you the variety that's available. Basically, this club decided that they would not run any projects. They're not going to do any of their own fundraising at all, but they're going to help everybody else who's doing a fundraiser. So, I mean, what a great way to enjoy each other's company and to make it easy on yourself. Let somebody else do the organizing, and you're the foot soldiers to just, I don't know if they still do that or not, but just kind of indicates that you do what you can do, what you're comfortable with, and you're still accomplishing a lot, you're still contributing, but not necessarily running a big project on yourself, by yourself.
You know, and there are lots of clubs out there that would be check writing clubs because they don't have the manpower to go out and do those fundraisers. So really, that's quite a service that Rotary Club is offering to other Rotary clubs. Yeah. That's the sort of thing you wouldn't know about, because we all think we all belong to Rotary, and we don't belong to the same Rotary because each one of our clubs is totally different. And it's nothing like a district conference to figure that out. So Maureen had her hand up, and then Annette.
I came away from one of the conferences with some new ideas for membership, including maybe not meeting as often or meeting at a different place or using some of your meeting times for other activities. And I have found that by sort of loosening up on that every week meeting has been beneficial to us in terms of attracting members.
Well, yes, it seems like our most priceless commodity is time. So it's recognizing that's a good one as well. Annette.
This past conference, it was my very first one. And there's quite a few things. Melissa Schrock, I love her saying of next generation influencers. So I really want to bring that home to our club because I feel it will have impact with the members. The spam word of service, playfulness, awareness, membership. I really liked that whole idea that was introduced. There's so many other things, and I'm a bit of a health person, and I know how well exercise and all that is good, but I have read in the past, and I can't remember the doctor who got up on stage, but
Dr. Kate.
It is proven that giving service to others increases your health. So I'm going to bring that to membership. Maureen is our membership chair right now. And if there's a way that we can promote that, brand that through for joining, I think that would be advantageous. And the word belonging as opposed to joining. So that's just one of 4 of the things that I came away with. So it was a fantastic conference.
That's great, because I think if you can come away from a conference with one thing, one idea that you feel like you could take and use, or one memory that really made it special, you've done really well. So 4 is pretty phenomenal. So we've heard some good ideas here, some things that are valuable and are things that are probably going to make an impact on clubs in the very near future. Lucky for you, Scott, people have been paying attention, and you're going to, at this conference, they're going to take away some great ideas. But what do you think it would take to get more of the members of your club to come to a conference? What's missing? Why do you think people don't show up? Go ahead, Annette.
Well, I know it might have been a challenge right now, just after the pandemic. I know there was a few people that didn't have their passports renewed yet. We're a little bit afraid of maybe crossing the border. Was a shame about the meat. I really wanted to do the meat raffle, but I think again, it was a little leery on Canadians if they had the meat coming across. So I think that might have had a little impact for this one. I'm not sure about some of the others.
Well, if we had a perfect world, if there was, COVID was calm and everybody had a passport, what do you think it would take to get them to a conference? Like, what are we missing? Because you've got a leadership team here tonight, and they're going to plan, both Scott and Dave are going to have a conference in the future. What Lisa did, I was so impressed when she told me what you were planning for your district this year, of having a virtual and in person. You joined the two, you made it so available for people. I mean, if you couldn't be here in person, you could come in virtually. You had speakers come in virtually. You did everything as mixed as you could for a hybrid presentation. So why do you think of your 1,900 Rotarians that you're averaging 10% of them. What's the missing, what would bring somebody, do you think, that we haven't captured? Because I'm asking you a big ask. I'm asking you to take an idea back to your club. But what would really be great is if you could bring a club member to the conference. So I'm thinking, what is it that could be done differently to have that happen? And I mean, you don't have to answer this now, but it might be something to take back with you. Margaret, you might have an idea. Go ahead.
I mean, it's something, an add-on to everything else that the district leaders need to do. But I'm thinking that a personal invitation to club leaders, like just a phone call to the club president to say, you know, I'm Scott, I'm your district governor. I really would like you to encourage your members to join us at district conference. I think what Annette has said, I think, you know, there's a reluctance because of all that's gone on in the last few years, but it just seems to me that that personal connection might make a difference. And that's just my idea. I mean, I worked really hard with my club. I mean, but I'm, you know, they're so used to me working hard with with them to ask various things that I think that something like that would be like having the prime minister call up and invite you to do something, or, you know,
Margaret, I just got to clarify. Are you comparing me to the prime minister, Margaret? Because I want to know that right now.
Absolutely, Scott.
Well, it's something that if you're going to go back to your club and say, hey, I learned this one great thing at conference this year that I just want to share with you. I've got a few minutes because the president's letting me speak. And the question I'd like you to ask them is, what would it take to get you to come? Because you know how good it felt. I mean, you heard Annette, she got 4 things out of it. Dan made a new friend. You know, it's when those things happen, the other people in your club are missing out on it. And so I don't know how we let them know what they're missing out on. So I'm asking you for your input. If you've got a way to connect with your club and ask them, maybe you can come up with a secret formula that you can share with the rest of Rotary, because we all struggle with it. And everybody that comes goes, oh, that was great. I didn't expect it to be so good. But it's getting them there that first time. And it's the same thing for you have 3 people again here tonight that are going to be going to, well, maybe all of them, I don't know, maybe a couple of them are going to be going to Alaska to a zone institute. Does anybody on here tonight not know what the zone is? You're familiar?
To be honest with you, Mo, I did not know what the zone was entirely until I went to the Learn to Lead conference in Toronto and realized that Alaska was in our zone, you know, as well, you know, and then even those little part of France apparently was in the zone. I didn't know that, but we found that out. So it covers a pretty wide range of territory.
Yes. Well, it is.
Oh, maybe I don't know what it is.
Oh, well, here we go.
Well, you know, and that
I thought I did, but now listening to Scott, maybe I'm not sure.
Well, your district is quite big because you have 68 clubs and you're an international district, but your zone is made up, all the zones are paired, and your paired zone is zone 28, which is most of Canada and parts of the United States and Alaska. And then it's also zone 32. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed France. France is in zone 28 as well, because you've got the little islands. And then zone 32 is the east coast of the United States, New York, and it includes Bermuda. So you have got this incredible zone that's 4 countries. And that there are, I believe, 42 districts in there. Mm-hmm. And so when there is a zone institute, Scott will be taking training, Dave will be taking training there. That's where they are trained to become governors. And so they'll meet their other 41 governor classmates. But anybody else that goes, anybody else that wants to go to Alaska and attend that Zone Institute are welcome. It's all you have to do is, just like everything else in Rotary, you just have to open your wallet and pay the registration. And but it is
where we were zone 28 and 32, but I just don't think I was aware of some of the places that were in those zones.
Yeah, so when Drew Kessler comes around, you know he's got a lot of territory to cover because he's going all the way from Bermuda to Alaska. And Chris is coming in after him, right? Is that not who your new governor or your new director will be? Sure. And so those directors who you get to meet and get to know are who sit on the Rotary Board of Directors. And that could just as easily be Scott, Dave, or Lisa, because once you're willing to throw your name in the hat and become a governor, you are working towards Rotary's leadership. And that's one of the other things that we never talk about when we talk about what are the valuable things of going outside your club and helping at the district level and then going to the zone level, is that Rotary will train you. Rotary will help you develop leadership skills. They'll help you with finance and they'll help you with speaking. There are so many areas that they want you to be successful in because they want you to be an ambassador for Rotary. And you could end up putting your name in and become a director. And then you would sit on the Rotary Rotary Board of Directors, or you could become a trustee like Dean Roars, who will be with you tomorrow night. She is a trustee on the Rotary Foundation, and those jobs take you around the world. It's just absolutely amazing the places that you go and where you're asked to go, and where Lisa will now be looked at as well, because once you're a past district governor, if you want to do something and you let your director know, they will help you achieve it because everybody needs help. And so there is so much that we just don't realize that is there for us. And so at the zone, you don't have to become a district governor to help at the zone level, because there's also coordinators. And so let's say your thing is membership and you love membership and you just want to go out there and you teach classes all the time in the district level. They would love your help at the zone level, because the zone level coordinators work with all of those 42 districts to help them with their membership. So if you've got a cool idea or a cool idea for the environment that you want to help share with 42 other districts or 41 other districts, they're looking for that sort of thing. So never underestimate what you know. Has anybody besides the three people that I've been picking on here, Scott, Dave, and Lisa, been to a Zone Institute? Yeah, so it's an opportunity. One of the things that does sometimes happen in districts is that they'll send somebody from the district. So let's say you put your name in the hat to be a membership chair, or you put your name in the hat to be assistant governor, and they thought, ooh, this person one day might just want to be district governor. They're kind of talking like that. And they could send you to Zone Institute as a emerging leader. And then you meet all of these other people who are interested in what else they can do in Rotary. And I can say 9 times out of 10, those people end up taking a job at the district level. So if you can send people as emerging leaders to your Zone Institute, and if you as individuals would like to go, you should stand up and look at it and consider it, because it's just an incredible opportunity. And then you can go to the international conventions too. Is anybody signed up to go to Melbourne? Yes, excellent. It's going to be a great time. And, you know, if you haven't signed up for Melbourne, it's a long way. It's a lot of hours on a plane. The next one's probably a lot of hours on the plane too, but you can start spending your pennies now.
28 hours.
28 hours, yeah. So in May 25th and 2024, it's going to be in Singapore. And Singapore is one of those places, might not be on your hit list, but can you imagine going there with 50,000 of your best friends? I mean, it would be a riot. You'd have a really good time. And if you wanted something a little closer to home, of course, Calgary in 2025 in June, so it'll be warm. You could get a white cowboy hat because in Alberta, if you live in Edmonton, you wear a black cowboy hat. And if you live in Calgary, you wear a white cowboy hat. And I know I'm from Alberta. So that, but it is going to be a great convention. And who is looking after it? Bryn Stiles, who is right out beside you guys. He's in your neck of the woods. So he may even call on you to help. So those are things that Rotary offers, but there are things that you can make happen. When Dale and I travel, we have this really great tradition of booking 2 nights wherever we were going and rent a car and then book whatever we were going to do after that. So we ended up in what we call centre-ville. So if you are in the middle of any little village in France, there's a circle, a central circle, where you see an idiot like me from Canada going in circles because I don't know where I'm supposed to be and I can't find my street and I don't know where the tourist information booth is and I need to find a place to sleep. That's how our trips used to be. But now, since we've discovered Rotary clubs, we used to go to visit a Rotary club at the end of our holiday just to get it in. You know, we did our makeup. Now we go there first because they help you find great places to eat. They help you find things to do, even if it's just going down to Buffalo. I mean, go to a Rotary club and they'll tell you where to go for dinner. This happened to us in Australia. We were in Northern Australia and we were going down to spend our last 5 days in Sydney. And the person I was sitting with at the meeting said, "Hey, where are you guys staying?" And I showed her my reservation and she said, "Oh, no, you're not. You can't stay there. That's in a horrible part of town. You are going to now book in this hotel." So she made me cancel it. She watched me. She didn't trust me not to do it. And she helped me rebook. I guess I booked us into, I thought it was a little boutique hotel. It might have been a brothel. I don't know. She got us out of that. But those are the things that Rotary can do for you. And so I think that take advantage of those because you also get to know people. I cannot begin to tell you the things that I have done because I have spent time getting to know Rotarians. When we were in Zimbabwe, a Rotarian took us to his home. And he said, and I was told him the reason that I had stopped at a museum in South Africa in Cape Town was because I wanted to see the anything to do with the sand people. They just amazed me, you know, because they would go out and hunt and they'd eat till they looked like they were pregnant and they could last. They were like a camel. They could live all those days on just on gorging and surviving. And they were so small. And I thought, I'd love to know more about their history. So I thought, I'm going to find out about it. Well, there was nothing, virtually nothing in that museum. Some little pieces of pottery shards, but nothing that I could have picked up a Wikipedia and learned more than I did in that museum. I was telling him how disappointing it was. And he said, "Okay, I'm going to show you something." So he took us out into the Matopus. And that's where the Rhodes was buried. And they have these big round rock formations that look like apples dropped from the sky. And we were scooting in among them. And one spot was so tiny that I had to raise my head because it wouldn't fit between the rocks. And I just needed to get through with my neck. And then once we got through that, we went down and we went into this cave opening. And it was about yay high. And so you had to get down on your belly and slither in. And then he turned on his torch, his flashlight, and all the bats took off. And I thought, oh, great. So we're in there. But once I adjusted to the light, I was absolutely floored because they had in this cave, this giant cave, ceiling height ceramic granaries that the sand people had built, right down to the ceremonial mug. And on all the walls were the cave drawings. And they were quite interesting because there was all these little sand people, you know, quite nice looking little people and all the animals. And then there were these big, tall guys with these little tiny heads. And that was who was the Bantu. We were pursuing them and keeping them, you know, trying to steal their land. So they were big, tall, strong people with little tiny brains. It's kind of how he explained it to me. But such great stories. And I told him, this is a national treasure. I said, who knows about this? And he said, well, I can't tell anybody because Mugabe was in power at the time. He said, he'll destroy it. He said, you and National Geographic are the only people that have been in here. So if you don't think Rotary opens doors, you just haven't knocked on them yet, because people will tell you things, show you things, and share it. And they do it because they trust you, and they do it because you guys think the same. We are, as I said, we're a tribe, and there are just so many opportunities to get to know those people in those various tribes. So we've talked about a few things today. We've talked about the importance of just going out there and finding out what exists. We've talked about the importance of taking part in the things that exist close to you, like district conference, and maybe even visiting another club in your area. But there are things I noticed in your zone. You've got a district 7190 that has the only thing on the zone calendar. They have a Rotary Business Network series that it says Rotarians and friends from every club in and around District 7190 are welcome to join these meetings. So it's like a networking thing for business people. I thought, well, that's a cool idea. You know, getting your business people talking to each other, that's pretty much a good chunk of Rotary. And I think I mentioned earlier how brilliant I thought it would be if you had a Rotary wine tour, because you are connected. You could have it as a fundraiser for the foundation. You know, whenever I get together with people, especially in an area as unique as yours, I think, oh, you know, what I could do here, but you know, same thing I could do where I am. We sometimes just don't realize that all we have to do is ask. I think, Margaret, your idea of Prime Minister Scott connecting everybody by telephone is it's valid, because I think we like to be asked, we like to be included, and that is something that we can do. And if we ask somebody, I think what it does is it reaffirms that we value them. And so if you have any questions, I've got about a list of about 15 more things I was going to talk about that are potential things that you can get connected with as a Rotarian. I mean, it's, if you've got a specialty, if you know something about sand wells, Rotary wants you as a cadre. There's a cadre of Rotarians who help with Rotary projects, and they fly in to fix something or to offer advice. There's just so many things. You could do what Dale and I did and go on a national immunization trip where you get to immunize children against polio. The one that we went on, we were giving the drops to these young moms, and of course they spoke Amharic and couldn't talk to us. So I said to the woman that was with me, I said, can you tell them why this white woman is putting drops in their babies' mouths? Because 99.9% of the people in Ethiopia are Black. They've never been occupied. Well, I shouldn't say that. They've never been colonized. They were occupied by Italy in the Second World War, but never colonized. The only country in Africa that hasn't been. So there's just no white people around. They don't have expats. And so she said, oh yes, I'll explain to her. And then I said, would you tell her what polio is? Does she know why she's getting her baby immunized? And she said she didn't know what polio was. They don't have TV, they don't have radio, they don't have newspapers. So I had been at a facility the day before where they looked after children with polio, and I'd taken them, you know, in their full casts and out there trying to play volleyball with one leg and stuff. So I showed her all the pictures on my camera, and her eyes got bigger and bigger and bigger. And she said, she was told the woman she was going back to her village to bring everybody in. And so you get to have little tiny impacts that change your life. Those are stories that you own and you can share if you go out and make them. And you don't have to go to Ethiopia to do that. You can do that right in your own district with the things that you're doing and the things that you do for your communities, where you're giving them books so that they'll have that opportunity to read because they're in a household where no one can buy books. They can't afford it. There's all sorts of things you do that make a difference. So I'm going to leave you with this challenge. We've got 10 minutes left. I'm going to open it up and you can talk about whatever you want. But before I do that, I just want to say how important it is to go back and take one thing that you learned at your district conference this entire week that you're in it, or from what you heard from your fellow Rotarians here tonight, and share it with your club, because I think that's our power, is to be able to take those messages and relay them to somebody else. I mean, I have like I said, a wealth of stories. Rotary's changed my life. It's this little hobby that got carried away. and now it owns me. So I just like to open it up for anybody else that has ideas on how they could expand their experience and help other Rotarians expand it, because I will steal them and share them with somebody else. Anybody have something that comes to mind that they thought of, but they thought, oh, well, I've done that.
Just encourage people to attend meetings in other cities. And I was in a meeting of the Las Vegas Rotary Club, and it was about 50 or 60 people there. And during the fine session, they were fining people $200, $300, that sort of thing. And so I thought, I'm just going to sit here quietly because I don't want to get fined. But I asked afterwards, I said, do people actually pay like hundreds of dollars per fine? They said, no. At the beginning of the year, each member kind of decides in advance how much they're going to pay for fines. And so the rest of it is just all fiction.
Oh, that's great. But it certainly keeps the guests quiet and good, doesn't it?
Yeah, like it was just amazing. Another interesting story. This is a few years ago. The Canadian Open was sold out and I wanted to go on the final day. So I thought, well, I'm going to wear my Rotary shirt. So I wore my Rotary shirt. I stood outside the main gate and I said, anybody got a ticket? Anybody got a ticket? The guy comes up to me and goes, Rotary, eh? So he was with Lexus and he had a spare ticket and he sold it to me for less than what I would have had to have paid if I bought it anywhere else, but he probably got it complimentary. So I got in to see the Canadian Open just because I wore my Rotary shirt.
Oh, that's brilliant. Anybody else have one of those stories?
I would definitely encourage people to, when traveling, try to take in a Rotary Club meeting. You know, my last trip overseas was to England last summer, and I was up in Oxford, and I had made arrangements to go to the club, and they were so happy that a district governor-elect was coming that they made me the guest speaker that night, and I wasn't exactly prepared for that, but I did have 21 new friends, and they were fighting over who was going to drive me home, and I still email the president from time to time, so we have stayed in contact, and he's wondering when I'm coming back. So that it's an amazing thing in Rotary to go somewhere so far away, to walk through the door, and instantly you have 21 new friends. And and like you've known these people forever, and you're sitting at a table having dinner and socializing and having fellowship, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. What an amazing organization. So, but even on a local level, one of the neat things, as being a district governor-elect is me and Lisa do like a little bit of a road show, and we go to these clubs together and stuff like that. And you meet so many wonderful people in your own district who you may not have met before unless you went to their clubs. But you do pick up on this notion that there are so many people doing so many good things around you. It's exhilarating, it's inspiring, it's really motivating you to go back even to your own club and say, I heard this, we can do something like this. Or I often think, especially in a district like ours, it opens up room for collaboration of so many different ways of doing things, doing projects together, and and the impacts that we can have can really be enhanced by thinking like that. So, sometimes you just walk to your next town over and there's a club. Go visit it. It's a great experience. You'll have a lot more new friends.
I'm going to be taking a 3-week vacation back to my hometown in Denver and Pocatello, Idaho, and I'm definitely going to try and locate the club that sponsored my Little League baseball team way back when. That's the first time I ever heard about Rotary. I was on their team for 3 years and we did great. Terrible the first year, and we won everything the third year. So that was a ball. But anyway, I plan on doing that just to see if it's even there. And then I'll look up the club in Pocatello, Idaho, and see what they have going on and get some ideas. But with that Rotary, I don't think I'd ever even thought of that. And I hadn't even heard of Rotary again until I moved up here. And that was 4 years ago.
Well, Scott, when you go back to Denver and you find that club and you tell them that they sponsored your Little League, you can say, and because of that, I became a Rotarian, and then they can put your picture on the wall.
Awesome. Yeah. And the thing that came out of that is our Rotary Club for the past few years have been sponsoring the minor baseball teams here in Fort Erie. It's about $3,000 worth for 7 teams. So, and we get to go out there and play with the kids and have a good time. So it's all fun.
Yeah, you pick up something everywhere you go. And I liked Scott or Dan that talked about the fines that, you unexpected, a little bit scary, somebody's getting fined that much. Well, I went to one club and I couldn't even turn around and somebody was shaking my hand and saying, would you have a place to sit? Come sit with me. And they're going, no. I've been wanting to talk to you. I saw you come in. Would you come and sit with me? And I thought, oh, this club is amazing. My club is never like this. Then when we all got sat down, I found out that the fine master fines anybody who doesn't have a guest at their table. So, you think it was brilliant. You felt so welcome.
So my club, we are terrible at singing. When we sing "Oh Canada," it's just a joke. But the Niagara Falls Club, they are a singing Rotarian club. So I've been to some of their meetings. I think they still do it, but they have a guy playing the piano. They take out songs from the 1930s and 40s. And they kind of have a sing song. What do you want to sing next? And then they have song sheets and that sort of thing. So when I was president, without forewarning any of my members, because I knew they'd stay away, I had the pianist and a couple of the singers from the Niagara Falls Club show up. And I said, we're going to sing today, guys and gals. And it was so much fun.
It's good to shake it up. See, that's what I said with the Big Bang Theory. You never know what's going to happen next. And so I think that's probably part of what you're going to hear with the DEI training that Scott's got organized for your district training assembly. Is DEI is about the things that you do in your club that make people laugh and make them feel part of it and make them feel welcome and make them want to invite their friends. That's all DEI is. And so I'm so glad you've got a speaker coming to address that. It's something that sometimes people run away from because they think it's a political issue or something that it just isn't. It's about caring for each other. It's about what Annette talked about. It's about looking after yourself and looking after the people around you. So I think you guys have really got it together, and I just hope that you can send me the answer to my question of how you get more people to district conference, because then we'll start an action group.
We're going to work on that, Mo.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mo. And we're going to call on District Governor nominee, almost elect, District Governor nominee David Alexander, who I'll see tomorrow as well. So I'll call on you to wrap up today. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight, Mo. Your stories in Ethiopia and having, just imagine you trying to squeeze through the gap in the rocks and getting into the little cave and seeing that one, and all through Rotary connections. And I'm really glad that you spent some time with us talking about the fellowships. I think one of those things that really enrich people's experience in Rotary is being able to look at and take on some of the fellowships, because you're going to meet people who are just like you from all across the planet with those kinds of people to hang out with. I'm sure that you and Dale, otherwise known as Batman, got to hear that story sometime, have some really wonderful stories in your being immersed in Rotary. Living your life in Rotary is the theme of our district conference. And it's so great to hear from somebody from another district, but also a new friend. So thank you very much for joining with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great to get to know everybody. Now I feel like I've got new friends when I come your way.
Yay.
Thank you. Oh, people are writing comments. Thank you so much, Margaret. That's very nice. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining tonight. And a heartfelt thank you to Maureen, Mo, for joining us and being the president's representative. What a wonderful representative in person to chat with us like this, so informally, representing our first woman president of Rotary International, Jennifer Jones, who, when I was an aspiring leader 3.5 years ago, took me by the arm and took me around and introduced me to about 5 people in the room and then let me go. That's the way she is. That's what we do. And I was so thankful for that. So thank you so much, Mo, and thank you everyone for joining. It's not too late to sign up for any of the virtual experiences that we have going on this week. And I hope everybody rolls their sleeves up on Saturday for the Great Lakes watershed cleanup, because it's within all of us. That's our treasure, is our sweat equity to give. That's why we signed up for Rotary, is to roll up our sleeves and help. So thank you everyone very, very much. And I wish you a great evening.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, friends. Thank you, friends.
Everybody.
So good to see everyone.
Care everyone.